Great. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I declare the meeting open. This is the first meeting I've chaired, so please be kind and feel free to remind me if I'm forgetting something. So calling for apologies or reading out the apologies. So we've got apologies from Mayor Quigley, Councillors Walker, Van Eldonk and Taylor. Could I please have somebody to move those apologies and the leave of absence? Yes. Councillor Druce, Councillor McCluskey, thank you. So confirmation of minutes, so looking at the minutes from the ordinary meeting held on Thursday 23rd of June. So again, somebody to move those minutes. My name. Councillor Jackson, Councillor Brewer, thank you. Disclosures of interest, I'm not aware of any, but are there any disclosures of interest? No. I do usually have a disclosure of interest, but that particular item isn't in this business paper, so no disclosures of interest there.
I have one.
Thank you.
Do I issue it on the paper or verbally?
Well, yes, so there's a form
Yep.
that may be filled out. If you just let us know what item that is.
It's a DA, it's already been approved.
Yep, okay.
It's on my property, it's just been approved. So I don't know if it's all going to put in here.
Thank you. So you'll leave the room when that item comes up?
If you wish me to, yes.
If you think that's appropriate.
I don't think so. I think it's already been approved.
Yeah, that's very good. That's
Sorry.
That's up to you, Councillor McKenzie. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting us know. And yes, we will fill out the form. Thank you for that. So we don't have any mayoral minutes, and moving on next to reports of committees. Committees have been a bit quiet this last month. So the only one we have is the meeting of Mannix on Tuesday 19th of July. So somebody to move those minutes, please. Councillor Whiteley, Councillor Brewer. Councillor Whiteley.
Commend the minutes of the last meeting to you all.
I just did want to ask about the under general business on page 6 regarding legal requirements on advertising. Manager of Health and Development and Acting General Manager to investigate further. Is there any update on that? I guess I have had that question from a community member as well.
Through to Madam Mayor, sorry.
Yeah, Madam is fine, or
I haven't had a chance to go through all the stuff that I've been stuff that I've had to do with. Basically, all the stuff I see says a paper circulating in the area. Other forms of media now that you've got plenty of Facebook and website, but I don't know if there's legally anything that precludes us from just using Facebook and our website. And I think that the Manager of Finance, Mary Ann, with some of your peers, that was the same sort of comment you received that.
I haven't investigated the matter as yet.
I thought you did. Okay. So yeah, haven't had a good chance to investigate that yet.
With note, I note that Crown Lands and other government departments are not doing local papers as much anymore, and they're hiding behind their that's the wrong terminology. They're using their website as the site. But as far as local government, I don't know. But other state governments are not using local anymore.
Anything further, Councillor Brewer?
Yeah, please. In the general business without notice, Madam Chair, there's a point there about the realignment. What's the terminology? realignment of intersection at the industrial, the proposed realignment. So there's more to go there. Can someone fill me in on what's happening on that intersection?
I'll ask the manager of internal services, please.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. I think there's a proposal that was discussed probably in Trans Committee or Traffic Committee to change the cross intersection between Industrial Access Road and Kaida Road from a cross to a staggered T intersection.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, and a further question then, does that include the build-up of the intersection itself, so there's visibility over the levee bank?
yeah, that's right. So I've gone through the documents, and what I've seen is double street leg goes left, and then Kaida Road goes slightly right. So you have double street Kaida Road over the levee to improve visibility and all.
Great idea.
Yeah. So industrial access road remains the main road, and if you're coming from Double Street, you give way at the intersection and then turn right. Then on industrial access road, you just arrive to the corridor or go straight. Yeah.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. Any further? Yes, Councillor Wyman.
Follow-up question on that. You said, I understand that the council is trying to get the industrial access road reclassified, and is this involved in that?
No, this is separate from that.
Yeah.
If the application to reclassify it is still being assessed, we haven't heard anything.
And another question is the traffic incidents since the signage and the change of direction of the give way signs, Sylvester, you might be aware that it was the other way around before, that there seems to be less traffic incidents now. We haven't got any data on that.
No.
Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just had a question. Regarding the human resources section in the Mannix minutes, just regarding the vocation care coordinator, and not currently advertising and will advertise in the lead up. I was just wondering if we've extended advertising on Seek or to other nearby towns or anything like that, or are we only seeking someone, in one town itself?
Thank you. I'll ask the manager of health and development for that.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair, I'd have to take that on notice and research it first.
Thank you. Anything further on Nodix? Yeah, good. All in favour? Carried. Next up is the General Manager's reports and the outstanding reports checklist. So someone to move those, please. And all done at once. Councillor Jackson, Councillor Drews, thank you. Councillor Jackson.
Okay, Madam Chair, I have no questions or anything further. So that, thank you.
So this one, I just wanted to ask with the UMR waste, is the contractor indicated when he may be out there, or has he turned up yet to do the transfer station?
Through you, Madam Chair, I spoke with the contractor day before yesterday. He believes he has to reprice the project because of price rises. He said, yeah, he was issued a purchase order to commence the works 3 months ago and hasn't commenced. So he has been busy. That's best I can, to my knowledge.
But through you, Madam Chair, but if he's already accepted doing the work, should he doesn't do it at price then quoted for sure?
Through you, Madam Chair, I'm not. Raymond's sort of more the project manager on that project. Yeah,
So that, through you, Madam Chair, could blow that budget a bit more than his pricing increases?
Through you, Madam Chair, very possibly, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So
Councillor
you
Crosby?
know, who is the contractor?
Through you, Madam Chair, MLB, Mark Birmingham.
Thank you.
Say no more.
Anything further on the, yes, Councillor?
Yeah, I received an interesting email, which I bloody can't find at the moment, and it was about putting up poles to make internet work better in small villages. That sounds pretty fanciful, but there you go. So when I do find it, I'll give it to DA and see if we can make some sense out of it.
Yes, please.
It might have been sent to council.
Through you, Madam Chair, you know, I received a copy yesterday, I think, Jody sent it through to me.
Right. Does it make any sense?
It does if you're over in Europe, it seems to work.
Yeah, I get that, yeah.
Okay, thank
Alright.
you. Just a couple of things from myself, and give this opportunity again, but I believe there might be an update on the cover over lighting from the acting general manager.
It's through you, Madam Chair. These Essential Energy have all been out and they've connected all power and that up. They actually had the lights on a little bit last night, but they're going to be commissioning them tonight apparently. So hopefully that'll be a tick of the box there, and there'll be one other little project from Data Oval done and dusted. I noticed that at 1:30 today, there's going to be a meeting with most of their staff to be able to break lights, because they can be actually operated through the cloud. And then just learning how to use them and things, so everything's done all that.
Great, thank you.
Through you, Madam Chair. What time are they going to fire it up tonight?
I don't know the actual time, but last night it was around about 5:45.
Yeah, just on dusk, so yeah.
So hopefully it'll be a bit later so we can actually see.
See, yeah, how effective they are.
Okay.
But I'll take that on notice and I can find out if like.
Yeah, mate, we might have a look at it.
Pack a bit of dinner and go and have a look. Thank you. Councillor
Take a pen down there and visualise.
Brewer?
I've got a question about the purchase of a second-hand excavator. Can someone tell me how that is going and whether or not we are within the budget for that piece of machinery? Whoever would like to answer that.
Yeah.
Manufacturing services, thank you.
Through you, Madam Chair. Yes, we purchased the excavator and it's currently at the depot. It's been serviced and cleaned up, ready to go. So what's left to do on it is to buy the attachments. Attachments means buckets and trench roller and grab. And it also needs a quick hitch to enable these attachments to be easily attached when required or changed over. So we haven't received the attachments yet, but we've ordered the attachments. In terms of budget, we might come within or just slightly out of budget, just slightly out. I think the excavator was $70,000.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
7,000 and the attachments that we are purchasing, 37,000. It's cost around about 5,000 to freight it here, and the servicing and the cleanup has cost $5,000 to $8,000. So that's, I think, slightly out of budget, but not that much.
Okay. Very well done.
Thank you.
Through you, Madam
Councillor
Chair.
Crosby?
Sylvester, the attachment that was on it, the forestry saw and that, what's happening to that?
We have it here.
Yep. With a view to doing anything with it or keeping it, selling it or?
Yeah, it still can be used at the tip for, chopping down big trunks, tree trunks. Yeah, but the power saw and so yeah, it still can be used in farm.
Thank you. Anything further? I'll go back to my list then. Just an update on the Lions Park and CBD toilet facilities from the Managed Mentoring Services.
Yeah, pretty much chair again. We received, I think, 6 to 8 quotes for these 2 projects, and we're currently looking at evaluation and also seeking clarifications from the tenderers.
Thank you. I can just ask on that. So the tenders were received for separate facilities, but we're looking at getting quotes for 2 together. Is that?
Yeah. There were 2 separate tenders. So we found that some contractors have bid for just one and not the other, and some bid for the 2 of them together. So we're also looking at potentially giving the two contracts to one contract. So in that process, we are looking at additional quotes from suitable tenders who bid for one and not bid for the other. So looking at them bidding for the other and seeing if there's any economies of scale in that.
Right, great. So that's moving ahead. And the only other one, just the levy rehabilitation funding. There will be a meeting about that coming up
Next week.
Yeah, thank you. Whiteley?
The new sewage plant is still underway to be commissioned early this month.
Yeah, President Chair, we have received approval from EPA to commission it. So we are working with the contractor, Congress, to come in late this month to do the commissioning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bella. Okay, all in favour? Moved, carried. Thank you. So next we have the item 2, committee delegates meetings and recognition of Warren being a healthy town. And to keep awareness of a healthy lifestyle, Council will be standing while we do this item, please. So could I have someone to move this item, please? Councillor Kinsey, Councillor Jackson, thank you.
Move the recommendation.
Thank you. Anything further? I might just ask Management Services about the RMCC meeting and what the next steps are with that, please.
Yes, Madam Chair. RMCC, we submitted all the documents to them early last month, I think, and they've come up with some concerns about our management plans. So management plans means the environmental management plan, quality management plan, WHS, work health and safety management plan, and traffic management plan. So we are currently addressing these issues with them. Yesterday we had a meeting with the transport contract manager, and we went through 2 of the management plans. So the plan now is to we will go through the other 2 management plans by end of this week and send to them. Sometime next week, we're also having a meeting to discuss what they call the maintenance assessment. We're having a meeting with the transport contract manager and the transport surveillance officer. This meeting is to just, be on the same page about this maintenance assessment, because what's happened in the recent past is 3 people have come up with three different ways of doing the same thing. So we did it first time. The second guy came and said, no, that's not the way. Then again, we did it. Then the third guy came and said, no, that's not the way. So we're having a meeting with the 2 of them to just harmonize and get it through it. in terms of when to start, that will depend on them. They give us the go ahead to proceed. One thing that's not very clear to us why they did that is they sent us a purchase order for the routine maintenance works. I'm not sure whether they have any instructions in that.
Yeah, no, I just logged up a purchase order for $230,000 for the RNCC, so we thought we must have been able to go. So basically, it's all pretty close to being on the ball. Let's go ahead.
So that's for your routine maintenance, is it?
It's just,
So like your fixed limit?
Yeah.
So that sounds promising. Great.
So,
Thank you.
the actual physical management and operation of these, once you get the maintenance, you plan for people and who, and in the operation of the current staff do that?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. We have, set up and decided on which crew to do what. The activities that need to be done. We have identified which resources to use for those activities.
Yeah. Existing staff, no new staff.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Could have follow.
so that's going to be more work for existing staff, taking away from other roads work.
Yeah, that's going to be the case. We just need to be more efficient.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor.
And a follow-on question from the RMCC contract. I note that Gilgandra Shire have done some work out here between the bridge and the tip. Do we know how much more work they have in our Shire before they finish that? And whilst we're waiting for the RMCC, we have routine maintenance, but there'd be no other maintenance being done on the highways, I assume.
Through Madam Chair, RMCC has two categories of works. There's the routine maintenance, which we are getting ready for at the moment, and then there's the ordered works. So we've applied to do the ordered works as well, but we haven't had that approval yet. So we are looking at doing the routine maintenance, and I think Gilgandra will continue with the ordered works in the meantime until we get the approval to do ordered works. The other question, your first question was about, sorry?
Yeah, do we know? Well, you kind of answered it because I'm assuming Gilgandra will continue to do the highway maintenance, the heavy work, whilst we're given the purchase order for the routine maintenance. So that answers the question. Thank you.
Thank you. I will just mention something about the Alliance Western Council board meeting. I wasn't at the meeting. Our acting general manager was there. The minutes aren't in the business papers, but they were circulated to us on Tuesday. And just from those minutes, I guess in relation to item 5 of the Divisional Management Finance Administration reports, is just the item about the Western Council's board writing to the Auditor General in relation to the Red Fleet. So that's the rural firefighting equipment. So the board is also going to be writing a letter to the Auditor General, which is along the same lines as item 5 that's coming up for us. So we can talk more about that matter there. Also the meeting with Scott Barrett, which is the type of meeting that would have been covered by the Warren Weekly, but wasn't. So I guess just an update on that meeting. So Scott was out here on the 14th of July. We took him for a tour of Carter Oval, Showground Racecourse facilities, sewage treatment works. I think most of us were actually here for morning tea with him afterwards. and that was a good opportunity to convey our concerns, which is quite receptive and understanding, particularly concerns around health. He gave us a good amount of time, I think. He wasn't in a particular hurry, and so it's great to have him out here. Anything further on the meetings? No. Thank you. All right, we have a seat. So now we have item 3, works progress reports, infrastructure projects. Somebody to move this report, please.
We need to have show of hands for the last one.
So, yeah, thank you. So all in favour for the committee delegates, yeah? Carried. Okay, Councillor Mora. So somebody to move, please, item 3, works progress reports, infrastructure projects. Councillor Drews, Councillor Whiteley, Councillor Drews.
Yes, happy to move the recommendation, Madam Chair, but I just would like to comment. I'd really like to congratulate everyone involved with the murals throughout Warren and Nevertire. I have witnessed at Nevertire the number of vehicles, especially the caravanners, that are turning off the highway and driving down Clyde Street to look at the water tower. It's just fantastic and very, very positive comments. I think it's really going to put Warren on the map for a mural town, or the mural council area. So I really congratulate. It's just absolutely wonderful.
It's really amazing. Thank you. Anything further on this item?
Madam Chair, just briefly, I obviously it costs us some money, but I congratulate council and council staff over the villages as a whole, like both villages with Nevertire with its new curb and guttering and streetscape, and the murals have mowing neat and tidy, Collo the same. Yeah, obviously it's costing our budget money for our employees to look after our villages, but yeah, I don't think I'd be alone in saying they haven't looked at it.
Thank you. Thank you, brother. All in favour? Carried. Thank you. So now we have item 4, the Local Government New South Wales Annual Conference. The recommendation being that Council approve the information we received in NOTEC. Council approve the attendance of the Mayor, Deputy Mayor, General Manager and 1 Councillor to the Local Government New South Wales 2022 Annual Conference, being held on Sunday 23rd of October to Tuesday 25th of October, with view to registering for the early bird discount. Council defer nominating the councillor until the conference agenda and guest speakers are known, and Council nominate the Mayor as the voting delegate for the conference. Do I have somebody happy to move that recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Kinsey. Councillor Brewer. Councillor Kinsey.
Just move the recommendation.
Thank
Madam
you.
Mayor.
Anything on that? So I think we have spoken before about the value in having presence at the conference. And as mentioned here, we would like to decide who best to nominate as the council attending once we know the agenda of the potential speakers that are going to be there in relation to, I guess, the committees that we have and what areas would be best represented. So if everyone's happy with that, all in favour? Carried. Now up to the the Division of Management Finance and Administration reports. We have the reconciliation certificate for June 22. Someone to move the recommendation, please. Councillor Bruce, Councillor Koski.
Yeah, happy to move the recommendation, and yeah, I suppose it's good to see interest rates going up a smidge. Investment.
Shirley. Anything further on that report? All in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 2, statement of rates and annual charges. Someone to move this item, please. Councillor Brewer. Councillor Jackson, thank you.
Just moving the recommendation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thanks, Councillor Brewer. Anything further? All in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 3, works in progress reports. Someone to move this item, please. Councillor Whiteley, Councillor Jackson, Councillor Whiteley.
Yeah, I commend the report to you, and just mention the planning for the library infrastructure grant. Is there a time frame or a community involvement in that? That's the question.
Thank you.
Through you, Madam Chair, yeah. We haven't actually set a time frame for it yet. We haven't had our first meeting, and we're busy, but we will go out and once the facility town improvement and State Library are happy with what we come up with, we'll then put out a consultation for the community there. So I can't see anything happening before Christmas at this stage.
There is not a time frame.
Not with the State Library. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? All in favour? Carried. So item 4 is the librarian's report on Warrantyre Library operations. So we can move the recommendation, please. Councillor Jackson. Councillor Kinsey, thank you. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just think it's nice to see that library membership is continuing to build even in this day of, you know, the web and podcasts and whatnot, that you can just get direct. The library is still very much an important part of the community, and they do a great job down there running it, and the services are awesome.
Yes, definitely. We're very, very lucky to have such a great facility, and yeah, always seems to be patronised in the event that they host. Anything further? Thank you. All carried? All in favour, sorry? Okay. Carried. So item 5, we will probably spend good time on this one. I'll ask for somebody to move this recommendation regarding the accounting treatment of rural fire service or Red Fleet assets. Councillor Whiteley, Councillor Kinsey, Councillor Whiteley.
I commend this report to you. I've been trying to do some homework on this matter. Whilst I am no accountant and legal, it seems logical to me in the first half. It's a push and shove between the local government association and state government. I was told that there was some issues that weren't brought up, reinsurance, personnel, which was one rumour why the pushback was. In this space, at this time, I think we should follow the local government association line, but It's very, very complicated when it gets into legal practice with these, the actual depreciation of the assets that we've got no control of. I think there's no argument against that. We shouldn't have to depreciate assets that we've got no control of in any way, shape or form, of replacement or of sale, or, you know, that there is other underlying things legally that are complicating the fact, and hopefully state government will sort these things out without too much argy-bargy.
Thank you, Councillor Whiteley. Yeah, I think it's fairly important that we all understand this matter, because the recommendation involves a lot of letter writing. I won't read it out unless someone would like me to, but there's lots of letters being written in this recommendation, and I think it's fairly significant that we're disputing, or amongst ourselves, amongst many other councils, disputing the requirements of the Audit Office. Thank you. Councillor Jackson, yes.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to comment on that, or ask a question on point 4 of the recommendation. Council promotes these messages via digital social media channels and networks. Are the messages we're promoting a campaign being run by local government New South Wales, for example, or are the messages a campaign that Warrandyte Council is running?
That's a good question, thank you. I might ask the actor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a bit of both. With regard to the red fleet, and we're only talking about the fire trucks, we're not talking about anything else. Like all the buildings that are on council's land are recognised in council's assets, and so it's just the Audit Office trying to be Big Brother, basically, and really, if we knew exactly what appliances we have in Warrandyte Council, because we're in the northwest zone, we're in the zone with Coonamble and Walgett. Three of us in there, we have a 25% share of the zone, if you like. Coonamble has 24, Walgett's 51%. We don't know whether the appliances are half the time. We don't have the key to them, we don't purchase them, we don't register them, we don't insure them, we don't get the proceeds if we sell them. So we've got no control. So, and even if we were to add them up and depreciate them, it would be negligible in our accounts over our total asset base. It's just more, it's written in the standards of the code, the code of accounting practice, written by the state government, that the councils are going to determine themselves whether they've got control of these assets. We said we haven't, but Big Brother Audit Office is saying, yes you do, because the state government says, we don't own them, so you have to own them. That's it. Do it. And we're saying, well, hang on a bit. We're using the principles of control and materiality, whether or not we will book them or not. So, yeah, and it's only to do with whether we book them in our financial accounts or we don't book them in our financial accounts. It's got nothing to do with the operations. We still pay our money for our contribution to the RFS for the purchase of those, towards the purchase of those and other assets, and pay for the insurance for the actual members that are of the RFS. That has nothing to do with what we're trying to do here. But yeah, we will try and do both the LG New South Wales point of view, and same with Warrandyte Council supports their view as well, and will not be booking them.
That would be fair to say that most, but not all, councils in New South Wales are following that policy.
Again, through you, Madam Chair, I think in the report it says there's over 60 odd councils that are not booking them. I think you'll find that probably out in the western area of New South Wales, I know of one council that is, that's the Narromine Council, and I think they started booking from last year onwards because the Audit Office started bringing the whip out. But as was in the draft alliance minutes that I actually second, nearly all the councils there, except for Narromine, don't book them at the moment. So, yeah.
Madam Chair, just final question, you know, and it is big boys playing, I'm with the acting general manager's comment that's big boys playing tough, but the repercussion of not having finalised audit okay by the audit office? Question.
The audit office haven't said that they will qualify the account. They've said they make note in the account, which they did last year.
Yep.
They wrote a letter saying that the Rural Fire Service red fleet assets were not recognised in the accounts. It has no real bearing on anything that of Warranshire Council. I mean, there'll be another 60 odd councils in New South Wales will have the same qualification if that's the case. But we're hoping that with this campaign and notifying them that they may soften their stance a little bit, but who knows?
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Kitty.
Madam Chair, I'm just going to get your head around this. So who actually owns the asset, the Rural Fire Service or the council?
The council.
The council owns it.
Through you, Madam Chair, the Rural Fire Service
Yeah.
is what the councils are saying,
Yeah.
but the audit office is saying, no, the councils do, and that's where the argument is. And we're saying, for us to own the asset, 1, we should be purchasing it, 2, we should have the keys to it, 3, we should be insuring and registering it, 4, we should be saying where the asset is and who can use it, when it can go out, when it can't go out, 5, when we dispose of it, we should get the proceeds from it.
Yeah.
Well, at the moment, out of all of those, 0 from Warranshire Council. So how are they a Warranshire Council asset? They might be stored in the building there, but that's what the argument's about, is that we don't book the fire and rescue assets vehicles because we pay them a contribution each year as well. We pay fire and rescue, we pay SES contribution, we pay the Rural Fire Service contribution. We don't have the SES vehicles on our books, and we don't have the fire and rescue on our books. And we're saying, what is the difference between that and the Rural Fire Service? And that's where the argument's really coming from.
Never mind. So that contribution or elected contribution is compulsory. So therefore, happen and say that we own it as far as it's concerned. Thank you.
Councillor Whiteley.
The bind that the state government sells, there's no legally, as it is now, the councils own the asset, and it hasn't been restructured within the Rural Fire Service. And it's just one, it needs to be fixed. The only way it can be fixed is restructuring from the state government level from where we are.
Thank you. I guess I would just say that I think it makes practical sense that we don't have control of vehicles, and therefore it doesn't make sense that we should have them on our books. We're not going out on our own here without knowing exactly what every other council in New South Wales is doing. I think the majority are of a similar view that it shouldn't be the case. And as we've said, the United Western Councils is also writing to the Auditor General along those same lines. So there's certainly agreement within that group of councils. Again, I think it's important that we're all understanding this clearly and happy with recommendation. So if there is anything further, no? Happy? Okay, all in favour? Thank you. Carried. Okay, moving on to the Divisional Manager for Engineering Service Reports. Item 1, Works Progress Reports Roads. Want to move, please? Councillor Whiteley. Councillor Jackson. Thank you. Councillor Whiteley.
I commend the roads progress report to you, and obviously it'll bring up some comments with what our staff have been doing. As you're aware, three of us went to the Marra field day the other day, and one of the congratulatory things were coming back to us were the help that the Warren Shire did for slashing the site and down there around the school, and what did some other work while they were down there. So I commend whoever organised that small piece of work. Went a long way. The actual reporting of the road and through Divisional Manager Engineering Services, the next roads meeting we'll go through some of this in probably more detail, but I commend the report.
Thank you. Councillor Drew?
Yes, I was just noticing on the upcoming works, with the roads that will be done, do you do priority on, to the engineer manager, priority on the condition of the road? Because I've just seen Bundanulla Road is going to be done in upcoming works, and on the other side of Stony Creek Crossing up towards McEllibar, it is really bad. There's only a couple, sometimes one narrow strip that you can actually drive along there with any that you feel safe. So I'm just wondering, is it a priority, would that be a priority in that group of the works?
Madam Chair, yes, we prioritize what we do in terms of action and actual use of the road, the hierarchy of the road. Yes, we do prioritize. So, if I may get your concern with Bundanulla, is it Bundanulla? Okay. Take that of notice.
To where it is, yeah. After the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bosky?
Through you, Madam Chair. Just in light of the Marra field days the other day and the little trip we did coming home, particular reference to the problem area at the Melrose mailbox, which I think I might have mentioned to Sylvester here a month, 6 weeks ago, is now signposted. Given it's been dry, it might prove to go and do something in a more permanent nature while you can, because if you continue to wait when it rains, you're not going to be able to get at it. But while it's dry, at least you can do something to the middle of the road and make it more trafficable and safer.
Madam Chair, was that Canonga Road?
It's on Shire Road 98. It's the Ningam Mundadoo Road, and the problem area is probably 100 or 200 metres towards Ningam from the Melrose mailbox.
Thank you.
But if you don't do something with it while you can now, given if it was to rain, then you're going to have to wait again, and you're going to, it's just,
Anything further?
Yes, Madam Chair. This issue about mile trees on the sides of roads, disturbing the view of traffic, etc., doesn't seem to be coming up in these reports at all. I was just wondering if it's going to be dealt with, or what are we doing about it?
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I think that's a notice.
Take that on notice.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything further? All in favour? Carried. Thank you. Just a reminder to direct any questions and comments through the chair. You don't need to call me Mr. So thank you. Right, item 2, works progress reports, town services. Someone to move, please. Councillor Jackson. Councillor Bruce, thank you. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just move that it be accepted. I have no further comment.
Thank you. Just in relation to the Warm Cemetery Stage 3, noting that community consultation is up until 4 p.m. or feedback is accepted up until 4 p.m. today. Do we have any idea of any responses received in relation to that?
Through Madam Chair, as of yesterday, there were no comments.
Fair enough. Good. Thank you. Councillor Whiteley.
Madam Chair, I understand or read that the contractors pulled out of the drainage of the cemetery, but because of cost or can't do it.
Madam Chair, I take that on board, I don't know for sure.
If we, Madam Chair, broadening this slightly is just calling for expressions of interest in matters such as this. Do we as a council in broad term and in the future need to think about our community consultation, especially with matters such as this, that people forget about until they're personally involved with. The cemeteries, the Shire should be proud of the way the cemetery's been kept compared to other cemeteries, but it is a contentious issue. I'm just wondering whether calling for expressions of interest and not doing something a little bit more broader, as in on site, is the way to go. I was very interested that no expressions of interest in the development have been made. I just wonder why.
Thank you, Councillor Whiteley. I think we can all wonder the same thing. Probably one of the main concerns or questions is how much that's to do with not having paper now as well, where most people might have gotten their information without expressions of interest in community consultation periods. So, yeah, perhaps something we need to be conscious of, finding another way to inform and manage.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chairman, I can continue, and this is not specific to this item, but could be followed up with others. A week or so ago, we had an on-site walk around from the sporting facilities meeting, which we physically moved from this meeting room, looking at maps and photographs, and moved it to the site. Carter Oval this was, but I think the average person, including myself, sometimes doesn't get a concept of things just looking at a diagram or a map, and would be better being physically up on the site, and even the cemetery. I think we should investigate other ways of doing this consultation.
Thank you, Councillor Whiteley. Okay. Anything further? All in favour? Carried. Okay, item 3, works progress reports, fleet workshop. Somebody to move recommendation, please. Kinsey, Councillor Brewer, thank you. Councillor Kinsey.
Move the recommendation. Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Anything on that? All in favour? Carried. So now that brings us to the reports of the Manager of Health and Development. The first being item 1, development application approvals, and we'll note that Councillor Kinsey has declared an interest in this item, but will be remaining in the meeting. Could I have somebody to move the recommendation, please? Councillor Brewer, Councillor Bruce. Thank you, Councillor Brewer.
Moving the recommendation, thank you, those, they're approved. Unless anyone has anything to talk about with that.
Thank you, Councillor Brewer. Yes, they have been approved. Anything further on this item? All in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 2, Works Progress Reports, Health and Development Services. Somebody to move recommendation, please. Councillor Whiteley. Councillor Jackson, thank you. Councillor Whiteley.
I commend this report to you. There's a lot of detail in that. Some is ongoing and yet to be completion. And call for any comment.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
To Marianne, I see the gates, or I'm assuming the double gates that are in the fence of the pool is the access point for the ambulance, is that right? Is that where the ambulance is to go through?
Through you, Madam Chair, correct, yes.
Are you sure they're wide enough?
Again, through you, Madam Chair, there was a mix-up with the miscommunication, and what was installed wasn't the original scope of works, and that mistake was on me.
So they've got to be widened?
No, unfortunately, we're stuck in port.
So then how now does the ambulance get in?
Well, they'll have to go on foot.
So why can't we widen it and accommodate the ambulance?
Questions through the chair.
Sorry, Madam Chair, apologise. Why can't we widen it to accommodate the ambulance?
Through you, Madam Chair, the budget doesn't permit for it.
Again, through you, Madam Chair, how much were the gates that are in there now?
Through you, Madam Chair, $6,600.
Councillor Whiteley.
I'm reading for a budget of 15,000. Or am I reading the wrong thing?
Thank you, Councillor Whiteley. And somebody address that question?
Through you, Madam Chair, I stand corrected.
Thank you. So we're looking at page 4. Yes. Budget 15,000, expenditure of 5,535.
That's what I'm reading, Madam Chair.
That's what it says. I agree. Thank you.
Through you, Madam Chair, given that there's 5,500, Mary, you said 6,000 for the gates, did you not?
That's correct, yes.
So is the cost of the gates either not being paid for or not committed against the job to show the real cost of the job against the budget?
I'd have to check those figures through you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
And given the importance of what and the intent of what was to be done, i.e. access for the ambulance into the pool, I believe through some, call it what you may, creative accountancy, that some money could be found to do the job right and allow the ambulance access into the pool. And
Chair, we'll take that on notice.
We'll take that notice.
yeah, and again, if that's not true, and the gates that are costed against that 5, that makes it 11, still leaves you $3,000 to $4,000. Potentially, you might only be looking for another $3,000 or $4,000. Surely council can find that amount of money to do and finish the job properly.
Thank you, Councillor McCloskey. Has been taken on notice. And I've agreed, all agree that it is something important to get right. Thank you. Anything further? Councillor Jackson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just wondering about the electricity to the animal shelter. It says a contractor has been engaged. Just wondering if that work has been finished or what the schedule is for that work to be finished.
Thank you.
Through you, Madam Chair, no, that project has not yet commenced, and the ranger is currently away at training this week. So yeah, I'll take that on notice and put you a timeline.
Anything further? Councillor Kinsey?
On a positive note, Madam Chair, the Knoll water's open and the new toilet facilities there. I don't know if they're ever going to be big enough, nobody's got on, but they look pretty good at the moment.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair.
Councillor Whitehead?
Positives, I see the asterisk next to the guttering and sport and cultural centre. Looks good, looks like it can handle the water. Just be waiting for the next 100 millimetre to check.
Yes. Fingers crossed. Thank you. Anything further? All in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. The next item is in relation to a request received for the donation of heritage items from the Business Information Centre to the Warren Museum and Gallery Association Incorporated. So the recommendation being that council donate a cross-section of the old river rectum, slab, wall-mounted telephone and the old telephone collection currently stored in the old Information Centre building to the Warren Museum and Gallery Association Incorporated. And secondly, that the Warren Museum and Gallery Association Incorporated be advised that the items must be kept within the Warren Shire. Somebody happy to move that recommendation? Councillor Kinsey, thank you. Councillor Jackson, Councillor Kinsey.
Through you, Madam Chair, I've made the recommendation, but just, I was told once that once something goes to the museum, they sort of own it and that's the end of it. And I just want to clarify that what you're saying is valid, or what is written here is valid.
Thank you, Councillor Kinsey. Do you mean in regard to that the items be kept within the vicinity? Thank you.
Madam Chair, I don't know of any legal requirement, but we're basically giving them donating them to the Warren Museum and Gallery Association, which is our local committee, and we just going to them, but we don't want them to move out of town. I mean, we just have to put that covered on. I don't know, you talking about, like, as in the government control thing, or?
Yeah, I don't know, I heard this once before, it was just maybe council.
I queried that also through you, Madam Chair. I queried that with the chairman of that, the museum. And once you donate something to them, you can't take them back. Once they've got them, it's their ownership then, I suppose. You can't online. So you can never get them back. Yeah, so yeah.
I think on that, it's really a request in good faith that the museum will retain the items in Warrenshire as our request. Councillor Brewer?
Madam Chair, notwithstanding fines, I don't think we really want the fines back, but the cross section of the tree, why don't we just loan it to them, permanent loan? Then we retain ownership and control, because can't be done.
I'm very open to considering a change to the recommendation?
Well,
Thank you,
The
councillor.
way I see it, Madam Chair, is that, sometime from now, if there's issues with the museum, or the Gallery Association, and that stuff is stored away, we lose it, we've lost it by donating it to them. If there are, I think this is a wider argument about what to do with anything that we're requested to donate. If we put it on permanent loan, then we retain ultimate control in the end, I suppose.
Thank you, and I will just refer to the request that we received, saying that the museum curator would like to include the objects in the museum display, would this be possible? So the request hasn't been for a donation or any particular way of using those items, but I might just pause the questions for a moment and ask the acting general manager if there was any discussion around whether to donate or loan, or where the recommendation is.
Through you, Madam Chair, I had no involvement, but I don't know with the residents or had any involvement with regard to talking with whether it could be just loaned or we had to give them to them. I thought that was a case that we had to donate it.
Through you, Madam Chair, the terms of the donation versus a permanent loan wasn't discussed. It was more the concern regarding where the items have come from and whether there was any objection to the donation in theory. And doing research into the background of how council came into possession of those items to make sure that we were addressing anybody's concerns that they may have requested at that time.
Thank you. Sorry, we'll go back to the questions and come over to us first. Councillor Bruce, we'll just go down.
Through you, Madam Chair, I'm just wondering whether we defer this so we get to vote on this until we get some more information from the the museum. That's just a thought.
Councillor,
We're wondering.
thank you. Councillor Foskey, looking to.
Through you, Madam Chair, there was, and I don't know why there wouldn't still be, but down in the yard, in one of the containers along the back fence, are a number of burls cut off that tree from the park stored, or should be, still there.
Thank you for that. Councillor Jackson?
Sorry?
Sorry.
Through you, Madam Chair.
Yes? Yep.
They're just the plain burl, though, but they haven't been.
When the tree fell over, when this burl was cut, so were these other ones.
Yeah, but they haven't been made like that. They're just burls, they're just pieces of wood. Yeah, that's correct, and they're still down there.
Still there?
Yeah.
So the attraction of this particular one is that it's marked with the dating information, so ready for display. Councillor Jackson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to comment that in support of what Councillor Bruce was saying, that their policy, it's actually part of their the way they've been set up, and the way they wish to curate is that they're only interested in permanent donations, not interested in loans. They've actually written that into the way the museum operates. I just want to ask a question in regards to, and it's probably not known, the exchange, the telephone exchange, that structure, whether or not they were going to be then seeking to have that donated to them. If so, how would it be relocated? And second of all, the issue around ownership of some of these items, because I was shared it was owned by the Post Office Association at some time. Was it ever owned by council, or was it just installed in council's premises? So I would like to have more information, I guess, but there's not enough information here, and what I have been personally told would seem that it is a permanent donation. If anything we give to them, it's theirs to do with as they will.
Thank you. Councillor Kitty?
For you, Madam Mayor, in consideration of what the conversation has been here, I would like to rescind my recommendation on this matter. And suggest that we don't donate until we find out exactly how it all works. If that's possible.
Thank you, Councillor Kinsey. So we're looking for wording a new recommendation, please.
We delete the word donate for start. We further investigate if it does end up in their hands, we retain right of the property.
So we'd like to move an amendment to the recommendation,
Yes, please.
being that the item be deferred until investigated further. Okay, so that the item be deferred until the item is being investigated further. And so moved Councillor Kinsey. Councillor Jackson, are you happy to do a second? Thank you. Moved Kinsey and Jackson. So just to clarify, so the amendment now becomes a motion. So for all in favour? Thank you. The amendment has now become a motion and the original recommendation is lost. That's all we need to do.
Yeah.
Thank you. So carried.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to bring up something that, not relating to that, but relating to something that the councillor Costick just spoken.
We'll move on to the next, is it in relation to the next item?
No, it was related to the last one.
So we've just,
I'll bring it up in chapter 6.
okay, so item 4, changes to garbage collection days and the community consultation plan. So noting that the engagement plan has been emailed to us, I think yesterday, with the details of what this entails. So looking for somebody to, thank you, yes, sorry, it is on the table as well. So looking for somebody to move the recommendation, please. Councillor Jackson. Councillor Bruce, thank you. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to ask a question about the community engagement policy, and it's going out to the community to say this is what the contractual arrangement is with the new contractors, and then it asks for feedback on that. You know, there's an opportunity for community feedback. Is that feedback just going to be your comments on what we're doing, or will it be feedback that can be incorporated, if it's strong enough in a particular area, into renegotiating the arrangements that we've already set in place with the new contractor?
Through you, Madam Chair. Yeah, depending on, I suppose, depending on how much feedback we receive, as to whether there's flexibility within those arrangements or not, but I don't foresee that there would be room for movement as such. Yeah, I believe that these are the proposed changes. They've rescheduled back to a 2-day collection, and that's for economics as well, because they're based out of Dubbo. So yeah, I'm not too sure. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to further question on that. Is there a point in asking for feedback, or should this community engagement plan be more, we are letting you know and giving you information, and this is how it is going to be. And you know, if you want to say something to us, that's fine, but I wouldn't want us to create an impression to this community consultation process that they can affect it if they're unhappy with it. Because it sounds to me, Madam Chair, that that's not going to happen.
That's a very good point.
Through you, Madam Chair, that, yeah, agreed. Yeah, and and I have brought that issue up with the Bow agency. So yeah, it's duly noted, thank you.
Thank you. So,
Madam Chair, he will be taking out the fee. We won't be getting any submissions coming in because it is set in stone. And it's being negotiated with the contractor as well. So yeah, basically it'll be information saying your bin will be collected on this date. If you don't put it out on this date, then it won't get collected. We'll amend the plan to take out the submission going forward.
Madam Chair, will maybe just a little bit of a rewording the purpose, to take consultation out, engage, I suppose. It's engage and observing the nose, I suppose. Just a little word change in there for the purpose.
Yep.
Anything further? No item? All in favour? All right. We don't have any notices of motion or questions with notice. Councillor Whiteley has indicated he had something to discuss. Is that a matter of urgency, Councillor Whiteley? Or something to discuss at the close of the meeting?
We could be discussing closing the
It's not no matters of urgency.
meeting.
Okay, thank you. So we have no matters of urgency and no confidential matters. That being the case, no further business, the meeting is closed.